I knew we imported electricity from France at times. I didn't know when the wind doesn't blow, we needed to get it from Norway. But the Norwegians are saying they might not sell us anymore. Is that right?
It is, and we don't just import from Norway when it's not windy. We import a lot of the time from Norway. But Norway relies on hydroelectric power, and its reservoirs are running low, and now it's looking to maybe restrict those exports.
And put its own national interest first.
Well, yes, and that makes perfect sense. I mean, Norwegians have invested huge amounts of money in their hydro infrastructure. It should be for the benefit of Norwegians before the benefit of other countries. Yeah,
funny we don't sort of seem to think about things in those ways. How much electricity do we have to import at times?
Well, National Grid is saying that it thinks it could import 5.7 gigawatts in the winter if needed. And that's compared with the capacity margin it's rating at 4 gigawatts. So that's the amount of spare demand, spare generation over demand. So essentially all of that would be coming from imports. And I'm just not sure that's very realistic, to be honest.
So we're importing electricity, we're importing gas that we could be producing ourselves, we're importing some types of oil that we could be producing ourselves, we're importing coal, which we still need, albeit not in huge quantities, but in the steel industry. We import wood to burn in Madrax power station. I mean, does nobody in this industry or in this sphere think that becoming energy independent would be a good thing?
Well, actually, quite a lot of people think that we need more energy independence than we have already.
Right.
It just hasn't been, not government policy, but it hasn't really been widely accepted among politicians more broadly. It's
so
not really a party
political.
Yeah, and it's not a party political issue because all the parties seem to be broadly on the same page with this. They want to see lots of imports. They think imports are a good thing across the board, and they can be, but specifically with electricity, we haven't been using them appropriately. And with the Norwegian situation, it's because their electricity can run out. So it's not, we won't run out of wind. It might not be windy, but using wind today doesn't mean we can't use it tomorrow. But in Norway, if they use the water up today, then that's it until it rains or the snow melts.
Yeah, no, I mean, the wind turbine can work tomorrow and can work the next year, but if we get a fortnight, I mean, just looking at the weather map before this programme came on, there is a very, very big high pressure, a 1976 style high pressure building over the UK. For many parts of the UK, there may be no wind at all for the next week or more. Have we become over-dependent on wind energy?
We've replaced too much conventional generation with wind without properly thinking about what happens when it isn't windy. And even the way National Grid does all its analyses, it looks at average generation and not generation when it's not windy. And that's when we have the vulnerability. And in the past, people used to say, well, it'll always be windy somewhere. But we've been learning that that's not true.
Yeah.
And September last year, for example, there was low wind for 3 weeks across all of Northern Europe. And so if you have low wind in Britain and Germany at the same time, and we're both trying to import, then it's almost as if the sum of the demand is bigger than the sum of generation that's available.
And looking at the Conservative leadership contest, the next Prime Minister who will, chart the course for the next couple of years, do you see anything in the positions of both candidates that will change things fundamentally?
Not really, not at the moment, no. And I think we need some radical change. We need some urgent actions this winter to try and do the best that we can. Obviously, the options are limited. We need to really progress with nuclear in the medium term and just make better technology choices. These reactors that the French are trying to build, they just don't know how to deliver them. And there are other alternatives. The technology that was proposed for Anglesey, those types of reactors were built in under 5 years in Japan.
Wow.
So why are we not doing that?
So it can be done.
Exactly.